Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is all about the luxury items that I don't buy anymore. If you watch my channel regularly, you will know that I buy luxury items on a fairly regular basis, but over the years, and I have been buying luxury for many years at this point, but over the years I have definitely found some items and some categories to simply not be worth it for me personally. And these are all items that I have purchased myself and I just found weren't worth the money or functional in the way that I wanted them. So I've compiled this running list. It does kind of change sometimes, but generally speaking, these are all items that have made the list through past direct experience. So I hope you guys all enjoy this and find it useful. Perhaps you're starting off your luxury collection, or otherwise maybe you just want to be super savvy with your money. I know I'm always really interested in hearing what items didn't work for other people. So hopefully you'll enjoy this, and let's get started. So first up are circle bags, and I'm also kind of lumping in with this category novelty bags as well. Here I'm thinking of like the new heart-shaped bags from Chanel, anything that's a little bit more of a funky shape. And I have found over time that I really just like a normal shaped bag that can actually fit my items in, and I've owned two circle shaped bags in the past. I had a Manso Gavriel top handle circle bag, and I also had a Saint Laurent circle bag as well, which was a crossbody style, and neither of those worked out for me. The Manso Gavriel bag was really limited in terms of capacity, functionality. It was very stiff, the zipper wasn't very smooth, and it's one of those bags that I thought looked great in photos but was less practical for day-to-day life. I thought I'd get along better with a Saint Laurent bag because it was a crossbody style, but actually the circle shape really does limit you in terms of what you can fit inside. You know, I always like to bring a kind of comb or mini brush with me. I couldn't really fit that in. You're really limited in terms of, you know, what wallet you can bring as well. You'll really start with kind of smaller card holders, and in general the shape was a huge limitation. You couldn't really make use of all the space. I also found the zippers to be not as smooth on circle shaped bags because I guess of the difficulty of the actual kind of rounded shape. So for me, this is kind of a firm no. I love the look of them. I think they're really cute and fun, and a little bit different, but I think I'm just at the age where I do want a fair bit of practicality and functionality with my bags, and I just found that circle bags really aren't it. I do kind of lump novelty bags in there with that, in terms of, you know, a heart-shaped bag might look really cute and fun, but I know I'm not going to be able to fit much in it. And I just want a luxury, very expensive bag to actually be able to hold my stuff well and to actually be easy to access as well. So for me, novelty slash circle shaped bags are just a big no-no, definitely something I don't want to buy anymore. My next category are designer sneakers, and I know this is the one where a lot of people are going to disagree with me because it's such a huge kind of selling category in general, and this one is definitely really personal to me, but I just don't really love them. Like, I like the sneakers I have a few pairs of Golden Goose sneakers. I previously owned a pair of Gucci sneakers as well, and there's certainly nothing wrong with them, but I just don't love them the way I feel like I should love them. And I really thought kind of after having a baby, this would be my time that I'd really fall in love with the designer sneakers that I had. But overwhelmingly, I just pick up my Nikes. You know, that is mostly what I wear when I'm just running out and about. I also have a pair of Lululemon sneakers that I really love. And I do occasionally wear my Golden Goose ones, but I certainly don't wear them enough to justify the price. I do find them quite a bit heavier than my other sneakers as well, which probably plays into it. And I think if you're someone who absolutely lives in sneakers, and I know there are so many sneakerheads out there, then you want that variety, and I can understand why people get really excited about them. But for me, you know, I do tend to only wear them for errand running, and in that instance I just want them to be as comfortable as humanly possible, so I always go for some other styles that I own. So this is one where, you know, again, nothing wrong with them. I like the ones I have, but I don't really see myself purchasing anymore. For me, this is just a category where I'm happy to save and, you know, happy to still buy my Nike ones, and I really love the ones I have. But certainly in terms of full-on designer sneakers, which cost hundreds of pounds, I just don't think it's worth it for me personally. Next up is designer jewellery, and there are a few nuances to this because I do still buy some designer jewellery. I'm a huge fan of brooches, many of you will know that, so I do still buy designer brooches, which obviously do count as jewellery. But here I'm really talking about items which aren't particularly design led, that come from more expensive kind of luxury fashion houses. I am including kind of proper jewelry houses in that, whether that's Tiffany & Co or Cartier. I kind of learnt this when I got my diamond solitaire bracelet and necklace from Cartier, and you know, it is a specific design to Cartier, but it's certainly a design which you can get at many other places without too much difference. You know, there are some subtle details which are different, but it's a very similar look. You know, it's certainly not something that's crazy unique to Cartier. And I like the pieces, but I got something really similar from Monica Vinader, which I actually prefer way more. It's not that much bigger, but it is slightly bigger, and I just prefer the way it sits, the way it moves, and I find them just generally better suited to me in general. And it was a fraction of the price of the Cartier ones, and I can think of a few examples like that, and I'm now at the point where, unless it is a specific design to a jewelry house, and my Cartier Jewellery bracelet is a great example of that. I love this thing, it's a very iconic design from Cartier. I was happy to spend the money on it, and it's turned out to be a fantastic purchase. I'm happy to spend my money on this, but if it came to just, you know, a plain gold bangle that I could get anywhere, if I could just walk into kind of a general jeweler on any high street and get the same kind of thing, I'm less willing to spend my money on a Cartier or Tiffany & Co version when I'm literally just kind of paying for the name, you know. Sure, there's some craftsmanship involved, but you know, there's also craftsmanship involved in the local jeweler down the high street as well. So when it comes to jewellery, I am in kind of that middle zone of, you know, I want to buy a few occasional quality pieces, in which case I want to get, you know, nice quality diamonds from a jewellery maker. It doesn't have to be a name brand for me, unless it is something really special like the Jewellery. And otherwise, I'm just really happy with my everyday pieces from the likes of Monica Vinader and brands like that. So I appreciate it's probably, again, quite personal to me, because I know there are some people who just absolutely adore their jewelry and are really kind of hardcore loyal to a brand. But for me, I always like to balance kind of quality with value, and also how much I'm going to enjoy wearing it. And I just don't really see the point in overspending on kind of diamonds or metals unless it is a very specific design from a fashion house. The next item where I don't really splurge on anymore are cocktail dresses, particularly one-time use cocktail dresses. And I guess I don't go to as many events anymore, but there was definitely a period of time when I did have a lot of events to go to, and I would always get sucked into the excitement of the event. I would justify a new, probably a very fancy cocktail dress purchase, which was usually only worn just the one time. And it was such a huge waste of money, you know, 2 or 3 cocktail dresses and you can buy a bag that will last you forever. It's taken me a really long time to realize that, but it just isn't really worth it for me anymore, especially because there are so many really great, more affordable options. And you know, you can find some really cheap and cheerful options, but if you did even want to spend, you know, 100 to 150 pounds or dollars, I still think there are a lot of beautiful quality options within that price point, which can look much more expensive, that it's simply not necessary anymore to spend hundreds and hundreds of pounds or dollars on a dress. So this is something I really try to avoid, particularly items which I know I might only want to wear one time. If it's, you know, a really special occasion, like, I don't know, your wedding or bridal shower, like, I think that's totally different. But if it's just a general party, then I really try and limit myself. And if there is a really expensive dress I want, I have to be able to justify it in my head that I'm going to have multiple use out of it. It's something that's going to be in my wardrobe for many years that I can refer back to, rather than just, you know, a one-time purchase kind of cocktail dress, which might only be suitable for that one occasion and therefore really bad value. Next up is designer swimwear, and I used to get sucked in so hard by designer swimwear outfits, and you know, it's always styled so beautifully with, you know, like jewelry by the pool and hair all done, and it would just make me want whatever swimsuit or kind of, you know, beach outfit was in the photo. And so often I would get the items and I would just be disappointed, and an amazing amount of the time, if you actually read the care guide on like proper designer swimwear, things aren't particularly waterproof, as in they say, like, you know, be careful when when wearing them to the beach or kind of in chlorine or anything like that, which blows my mind, because how can you spend hundreds of pounds on a swimsuit and it not be suitable for kind of swimming and just general beach wear? It's just totally crazy to me. But as soon as I read that on a few labels, that really kind of began to change my mind. And again, back to my dress point, I feel like there are so many really great, more affordable options out there. Certainly my most flattering bikinis and swimsuits I absolutely love, they definitely weren't kind of hundreds and hundreds of pounds, and I just don't think it's necessary to spend the money. You know, I have own design swimwear and it functions exactly the same way, sometimes a bit worse than the cheaper stuff. So I really try and limit myself, particularly as I don't live in a particularly hot climate. It's not something that I get a ton of use out of, and you know, I want to feel good and look good on holiday, but I really try and limit myself to make sure that, again, I just get good value for money when it comes to my swimsuits. Next up is quite a specific item, but it is luxury tights, and this is an item that I've only bought once and never again. And I actually bought this many years ago. It was when I was at university, and they had these tights featured in Vogue. I was an avid reader of Vogue, and they were these semi-sheer polka dot tights, and they were featured in pretty much every single editorial. I was very excited because not only did I love the look, but I could actually afford them, and that certainly wasn't true of most things in Vogue at that time. You know, I was a very poor student. I saw these and I just loved them, so I rushed out to Selfridges. I got them. They were £40 for a pair of tights, which was a lot of money. It's a lot of money for a pair of tights now, but certainly then it was a lot of money then, especially as I was on a student budget. But I thought they were worth the splurge because, you know, they were in Vogue, and I put them on and my hands went straight through them as I was putting them on. As in, I didn't even get to wear them out. I ruined them as I was putting them on. I guess I was just too excited. They were very delicate. They were a French brand, and yeah, just not very robust at all, and I was devastated. Like, I couldn't believe I just wasted £40 that quickly. And what's even worse is that a couple of months later, the high street caught up to the trend, and Primark had a version for £3, which I did end up buying, and they actually lasted me a really long time. But since then, never again will I spend that much money on a pair of tights, especially something that can be so easily ruined, especially when you can get much more affordable versions if I just waited a couple of months. So yeah, never again. Big expensive lesson. It has stayed with me, and I just won't spend on luxury tights anymore. And last but not least is more of a general category, but it's luxury items that I literally only buy because of the brand name or the design house. And I guess you could kind of argue this applies to the vast majority of luxury items, but there are some items in particular I'm definitely guilty of only buying because it is a certain brand name. So gosh, there are so many examples, but my Moncler hat, for example, it's a perfectly nice hat, but it costs a lot of money because it's from Moncler, and it's just a normal hat. Like, there's nothing special about it. It's not incredibly designed or incredibly made. Like, it's absolutely fine quality, but there's certainly nothing particularly special about it. It only costs as much as it does because it has a little Moncler badge on it. And to be honest, it's not even my favourite hat. My favourite hat is a really inexpensive one from Sainsbury's that's just really comfy and warm to wear, that I think cost me like £10. So that is like one example, but again, I have so many. I think I had a Marc Jacobs jewellery box once upon a time. I bought Chanel washi tape at some point. I got an earphone case from Saint Laurent, which didn't really fit my earphones that well. All items that I bought because I really like the brand in question, but ended up just being kind of huge wastes of money. And you know, individually none of them were absolutely thousands, but you add them all up and actually it's a really substantial amount. So I try and be mindful of that. And again, it is kind of wrapped up in the whole luxury world because, you know, I like Saint Laurent bags because they come from Saint Laurent, and so much of, you know, luxury and design houses is about that name recognition. But whenever I want to buy something that is perhaps a little bit more quirky and not something I would usually go for, I do try and ask myself now, like, do I actually really love that design and love that item? Or is it just kind of an ordinary item that I only like because it's from that design house? Not perfect with that all the time, but it's definitely something that I do try and keep in mind. I've been through enough kind of bag sales and declutters to recognize my pattern of just going for things because I like that fashion house. So it's certainly something that I do try and be mindful of now. So that is it for this video, guys. I hope that you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comment section if you also have a list of items that you try not to buy or waste your money on. I would be super interested to hear from other people on this, so please let me know what you try and avoid in the comment section. If you enjoyed the video, please do give us a thumbs up, and as always, thank you so much for watching. I will see you in my next one. Bye, guys.
I don't know how or how you do it. You blow